in, come on in, come on in, come on in. So we're wrapping up the 7-day healing fast challenge, and the last couple days have been great. They've been amazing. We've been doing some deep dives into fasting to better understand how it connects to healing, specifically when it comes down to dealing with blood pressure problems. So come on in, come on in. We're gonna wrap all these things up to end the 7-day healing fast challenge and answer any questions that you guys might have regarding fasting, healing, and how to apply this as a strategy to improve your overall health. So before we get started, the first thing I want to do is just make sure I bring everybody up to date when it comes down to any book purchases that they have. So if you purchased the high blood pressure breakdown book or the high blood pressure breakdown cookbook, all orders that were placed this week have been sent out. Today's Friday. Friday's a big shipping day. Everything gets picked up, sent out, and you should already have had those emails that go out to let you know about the tracking information and things like that. So be sure to check your spam folders, be sure to check your email, and that way you can get further updates, but everything is moving along. If you're someone that hasn't had an email update as yet, feel free to contact tech support. They will get you some further information about your purchase. Email me as well. Sometimes with me, it takes me a little bit longer to get back to you guys, but I promise as soon as I see the email, I'll get right back to you and continue to connect the dots with your purchase and just making sure that it gets to your front door safely. So with that being said, that kind of clears up all the announcements, and let's dive right into the last day of the 7-day healing fast challenge. So again, for those of us that signed up for the challenge, we should have our ebooks. Got the light there. No, we should have our ebooks just like this. I always talk about getting a second device. That way you can follow along and pick things up as you're moving through. But if not, I always read through the book. So for some reason, I just like to do it that way. It just works better. One good reading strategy is that when you're reading along and you're also listening to like an audio book or someone else read along, it's kind of easier to pick up the information and you retain it in multiple pathways. So, that's just one strategy, but here we go. So basically through this challenge, the last 3 days, we've been breaking down different aspects of fasting. We've been talking about, fasting as a whole, understanding its origins, how it came about. We talked about fasting being the oldest form of healing, the oldest, most natural form of healing. Fasting was before medication, before herbs, before everything. Fasting is done by the majority of animals. It's just not something that's unique to humans. Bears fast when they're hibernating. Salmon fast when they're going through the I forgot what it's called when fish it's not like necessarily mating and stuff like that. I forgot what it's called, but they fast during that process. And most importantly, where you can see it in hands-on, your animals fast, your dogs, your cats, those things, specifically when they're ill, when they're sick, when they're not feeling well, things like that. So understanding how this mechanism works and how to apply it is going to be very, very important. Mostly when we see animals fast, they're fasting for a reason. They're fasting to get better, to allow for their bodies to rejuvenate and recover from whatever issues that they were dealing with. So as a person, understanding that you have this built-in mechanism inside yourself and understanding how to apply it as a strategy will allow you to overcome any health issues that you're dealing with. And in this challenge, we specifically tied it into blood pressure, because understanding your blood pressure issue and applying the fasting strategy is one of the safest and fastest ways to correct blood pressure problems. And one thing about fasting is this, that it doesn't just target, your blood pressure or, this specific pathway. It heals your body as a whole, because when you abstain from eating, this affects every cell within your body and allows for them to get back into alignment to correct any internal issues that are going on. So in the first 3 days, we broke down all these different strategies, specifically starting with understanding what's going on inside of the body. We talked about autophagy, which is pretty much the breaking down and recycling of the old damaged cells. And this is a critical part of fasting, because all those cells within us that are old and damaged and not working as efficiently as they should, during fasting, once you reach the stage of autophagy, all these cells are broken down and reconstructed. Your body takes out the old trash and starts rejuvenating and bringing in the new cells. So all those old cells that are broken and malfunctioning and not doing what they should do on a high level, your body takes those cells, break them down, and just like imagine like you're taking a bike. You go to the junkyard, right? You go and pick up a old bike that's there. It's gonna be some good pieces on there. The chain might be good, or the rims might still be okay, and it just doesn't work properly. But it's some good pieces on there, right? So your body basically does the same thing. It takes that old cell, and the mitochondria might be right. The membrane might be all broken down. So what it does is say, okay, I'm gonna take this out of here, and I'm gonna get rid of all these other things. And it does that to all the other cells that are around, and ultimately it rebuilds and reconstructs and have a cell that's going to be efficient enough to do the job at a high level. So that stage of autophagy that's actually going down is a healing and rejuvenating process. And we broke this down in day one. That way you can understand how long you need to fast to get into this autophagy stage. And it's important to understand that when it comes down to fasting, it's the consistency that's going to allow you to get those results. You can't just show up and say, I'm going to fast one day, or I'm going to do this for one day or 2 days. You'll see some benefits from it. But the long-term sustainable benefits from fasting comes from consistency. Consistently applying yourself and consistently applying this strategy to your lifestyle will allow you to see the progress. And one thing about it, that gradual progression through these changes is what's going to ultimately get you off of these pharmaceutical medications and improve your overall health. So understanding the different fasting strategies that are there is a big part of the game. And during day one, we also broke down the other aspects such as ketosis and autolysis and these different factors, because one thing that I'm a firm believer in is that the better you understand what's happening, the more likely you're going to be willing to apply this strategy and see your way through it. Because the last thing you want to do is do something that you really don't know about, right? Like, why would I do something I don't know about? I'm not sure what's happening. But if you know about it and you're starting to understand it and you're feeling your way through it and you're gaining more knowledge about it, you'll be more willing to apply it to your lifestyle. And then this is going to be where you start to document your journey and see the results, because it's a game changer. I can guarantee you. And this doesn't take weeks and months to actually get results. You start seeing it right away. And I'm not just talking about losing weight, because if you stop eating, of course you're going to lose weight. But understanding how this process goes and understanding how to see your way through it correctly, safely, and efficiently to get the results that you desire. So understanding the fasting strategy that's unique to you is a big part of the game. So, we spent those last 3 days breaking those things down. The videos for those live sessions, they're on my page. You just see the Healing Fast Challenge, day 1, day 2, day 3. Those are all there for you guys. They're neatly organized in the folder, so you can just come in, check it out, review it, and understand what you need to learn when it comes down to applying fasting as a strategy, specifically for those blood pressure issues. Because, for those of us that are dealing with like a resistant blood pressure, that blood pressure where you're taking 2-3 different pills and it's just still just uncontrollable, and it's just, you're trying different things, you're trying to eat better, you're getting exercise, but your blood pressure is still just jumping, doing all kind of crazy things. Fasting is something that you should try, because again, fasting affects your body as a whole, and it's going to be something that's going to be able to help you connect the dots between what's going on inside of you. And understanding this, when it comes down to managing blood pressure, it's a team effort. I talk about this all the time. It's not just one strategy here, one strategy there. It's a team effort. The reason being, every blood pressure problem can be different. I'm different from you different from me, she's different from him, and he's different from her. It's all different. So the better you understand the different tactics and strategies, the better you will be able to get to the root cause of your specific problem. And when it comes down to blood pressure issues being a team effort, this team is your lifestyle, the way that you're living, your stress levels, your sleeping habits, the quality of your relationships, your nutritional choices, how much you're moving your body, all those different things, even the sunlight and other prerequisites of life that are factored in. You have to be able to understand what you're doing, how it connects to how you're feeling, and make the necessary adjustments. And that's why in my book, The High Blood Pressure Breakdown, I go through the different processes that are directly related to blood pressure. Because if you're able to see or connect the dots between what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, you will be able to illuminate the path that you need to follow to get to the root cause of your blood pressure problems. And your lifestyle is the number one determining factor of the blood pressure issues that you're dealing with. A lot of us think that it's related to our family history, genetics. You know, it was hereditary. My grandmother had it, my dad had it, my mom had it. I'm due to get blood pressure. That's not exactly true. It's not 100% true. Does genetics play a role in blood pressure? Yeah, it plays a role. I'm not gonna lie and say it don't. But we have to understand the role that it plays. In most people with high blood pressure, genetics is a 5-10% reason why they have it. Maybe some narrow arteries and things like that, or other variables that's in between it. That's 5-10% of people. But the other 90-95%, it's the way that you're living your life. Those factors that we spoke about, your stress levels, your nutritional habits, all those different things are the influence behind it. And you have to be willing to dive into it in order to get a better understanding. So fasting is one of those strategies that we broke down. And what I want to do today to bring it all together is go back through those fasting strategies. That way you guys can get another dose of it, understand it a little bit deeper, and actively put the pieces to your puzzle together. Because again, when it comes down to lifestyle changes and making the necessary adjustments, I can't do it for you. You have to make the choice. And change happens when you make the choice to do better. So us being here in this session, this is about you having a heart-to-heart with yourself and saying, I want better for myself. I want to do better and be around longer to take care of my children, or to enjoy my husband or my wife, or just to enjoy what I like to do, things like that. Because one thing about lifestyle changes is this: it's not about living forever. Like, we all gotta die one day. Lifestyle changes isn't about living long and living forever. It's all about living long enough to be able to do the things that you love to do. Because what happens is, as we age, what we're seeing in our society is people start to age 40, 50, 60, and their body starts to decline because of their lifestyle choices. So understanding, when you're starting to decline, you're not keeping up and doing the things that you once were able to do. I meet so many people say, I used to run track, and I used to play ball, and I used to do all these things, but now they're not able to physically do any of that at any level anymore. So understanding that lifestyle changes allows for you to keep your body nice and healthy and young, so you're able to continue to do the things that you like longer into the future. And that's what it's all about: enjoying your health as you age. Getting old does not mean that your body should be breaking down and failing you in any type of way. So understanding that as you're moving forward through this journey we call life, your body should be right there next to you, doing what you needed to do. But this starts with your decisions, the way that you choose to live. And if you're experiencing these high blood pressure problems, it's important that you check them at the door and get control of them. Because the pharmaceutical medications that we may be taking, they're not the answer to the problem. They might bandage you up and make those numbers look good, but we have to understand this is a temporary fix. This is a Band-Aid over a broken pipe. They might patch you up and have your numbers looking okay, but ultimately the disease is still manifesting. So these tactics and strategies that we go over will allow for you to get a better understanding of what you can do to fix that broken pipe, instead of just mopping up the floor and cleaning up the water with the pipe still just running and leaking and things like that. So again, I could rumble on all day sometimes, but we're gonna get back into these tactics and strategies, and that way, we could just go back over these things and get these things, and just get a plan for what we want to do. So for anyone that has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll get back to them when we get in when I get to that part of the session, and we'll keep moving in from there. and I'm flipping through the ebook. You know, it's like 20 something pages, but I'm flipping through it to where exactly I want to be at. That way I could just start putting it together. Okay, so the first strategy that we spoke about was the intermittent fasting strategy. That's entry level, basic for anyone to start at. And this is ideal for someone that's dealing with those, that's taking blood pressure medication. You know, some people got to take medication every day before they even eat just to get themselves going. That individual that are taking medication every day and you're wondering what type of fast you can do, intermittent fasting is going to be the first stop. So understanding your levels in intermittent fasting is going to be very, very important, because a lot of times people are dealing with blood pressure challenges. They also have blood sugar issues. And fasting is something that affects all these different pathways, but we have to understand our limits in order to maintain control through this process. Because again, this is a strategy that you're applying, and all of our bodies have limits. Back to the law of limitations. Your body has limits in all these different areas, whether it's your stress, your nutrition, your sleeping habits, or fasting. Your body has limits. And when you when you go past your limits, things start to happen. And when you're dealing with high blood pressure, this is another thing. You're past your limits in certain areas, whether it's a nutritional issue, you're eating too much of the wrong foods, it's driving your blood pressure up. Your stress issue, you pass that stress limitation, your limit that you have, your stress levels are up, you pass it, boom, the blood pressure is going up. The law of limitations is something that's very, very important. And I've done a few videos about those things as well, but back to it, understanding your limits while fasting with certain issues is going to be important. So if you're dealing with these challenges, the first thing that you want to do is you want to start with the entry level of intermittent fasting, and this is going to help you break down the door and get more confidence and understanding of your body to continue to progress through the process. So first thing, intermittent fasting, you want to stop eating at 8 p.m. That's the cutoff time. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna cut off the cutoff time. Kitchen closed. 8 o'clock, shut it down. Lights off in the kitchen. Ain't nobody getting nothing else but water. Water only. Simple as that. So 8 o'clock, kitchen closed. Only thing you want to have after 8 is water. Water only through this process. We spoke about all the different things that some people like to consume while fasting. The teas, the herbal supplement, the coffee. We spoke about all those. We went through the ins and outs of why we shouldn't have all those, just to keep it simple, you know, because these things have a lot of triggering effects, and the better we understand how they potentially connect to the issues that we're dealing with, the more likely we're going to stay away. So check out day 1 and day 2 to figure out more about those different intangibles, but give it to you straight and clear. Water only is the best pathway. It doesn't get any simpler than that. When you go water only, you limit your risk of breaking your fast or any other outside stimulation. You eliminate it, because water's not going to do anything for you, anything against you, you know? So doing that intermittent fasting from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., water only. And that's going to be the entry level of just 12 hours. In my personal opinion, I think that everyone, healthy, old, sick, whatever, they should be doing at least 12 hours fasting, the minimum. Reason being, it brings balance to your eating and the fasting window. When you eat for 12 hours and fast for 12 hours, this allows your body to stay in balance and to purge and cleanse everything that you're consuming. When you eat for 16 hours and fast for 8 hours, now it's a deficit where your body's not able to eliminate all those things that you're consuming. And what happens? You get fat. It's simple as that. Your body has to store all that stuff that you're continuously eating. So if you're eating all throughout the night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, snacking here, snacking there, your insulin is jumping. It's jumping up and down, having a party inside your house. And as you're eating and continue to consume these things, the insulin is storing. Insulin is a storage hormone. It's storing fat in all those hidden crevices. All that stubborn belly fat, that fat up under the arms, fat up under the neck, all those different areas. Insulin is in constant storage mode when you're consistently eating. But if you bring balance to your fasting window, 12 hours eating, 12 hours fasting, your body gets to utilize what's coming in and creates a balance where you're not being imbalanced that's leading to further complications. So that 12 hours is going to be the minimum. That's going to be a great place to start. And when you're dealing with these health issues that you're trying to apply fasting, this is going to allow you to navigate through it and understand your body. And the most beautiful part about this is that for most of this fast, you're sleeping, right? So for most people, but for most of this fast, you should be sleeping and resting. That way, it shouldn't be too hard and complicated. By the time you get up 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you probably got another hour to go before you break your fast, and at least you're balanced. And this is a great starting point. Now, as you're getting better with these strategies, you want to go ahead and move further up. 12 hours to 14 hours. See how your body does. If you handle it real good, that's great. Be consistent, keep going. 12 hours to 14 hours, 14 hours to 16 hours. Boom. See how your body is handling the task that you're giving it. Your body will respond, and when you're fasting and you're in alignment, your body's going to respond in a health promoting way. All the body wants to do is heal and live in a thriving environment. And unfortunately, our lifestyle takes that away from our body, and it brings about complications. But when you start making these adjustments and you start fasting and start eating health promoting foods, you get back in alignment, and your body gonna start having a party right inside and start doing what it needs to do. And what's gonna happen? It's gonna display those signs of health. The energy is going to come back. Your sleeping habits are going to get better. Your stress levels are going to go down. Your weight is going to drop. All those things that are going to start clicking and clicking. And what's going to happen? If you're documenting your journey, you're going to see it. You're going to see it on paper. You're going to see your BMI and your weight going down. You're going to start seeing the scale go down. You're going to start seeing your blood pressure go down. All those things are going to be clicking, and it's going to keep you moving in the right direction. Now, after you break your fast for some intermittent fasting, you want to make sure that you're consuming health promoting foods. Simple as that. That's the last thing you want to do is fast and go and eat garbage, because you're going in a circle and you're not giving your body the things that it needs to build itself. We talked about autophagy, how the body is breaking down and reconstructing old damaged cells. So you have to be able to give your body the tools that it needs to build those new cells and allow them to function the way that they need to. If you're fasting and then after you break your fast, you're eating bread and pasta and all this processed foods and all the stuff that you shouldn't be having, your body's not going to have the right raw materials that it needs to build itself up to be more resilient to correct the issues at hand. So understanding that your nutrition after fasting is almost more important than the fast itself, because if you're trashing your body after cleansing it, you're just in a whole detoxification process and you're working against the grain. So understanding a health promoting diet moving forward after the fast is how you sustain the results, because the last thing you want to do is do all this good hard fasting and don't sustain the results that you work so hard for, because fasting by far is not the easiest process. It's more challenging mentally than anything, but it's not the easiest process to get through. And you don't want to waste your time, waste your energy, waste that precious effort that you're putting into it because you decided to eat foods that were not health promoting. And one thing that we spoke about in our previous breakdown were the foods that were essential for regulating the blood pressure. And I'm going to start with the nutrients that are essential for regulating the blood pressure. And these nutrients, again, potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium, zinc, the antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D. All those things are critical for managing your blood pressure through many different pathways. And the best way to get these nutrients is by simply eating whole foods. Whole foods, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds. All those things are filled with combinations of all these different nutrients that are going to help you continue to build your body up to regulate that blood pressure. You're consuming potassium and sodium. That balance is very, very important. We talked about the potassium-sodium pathway many different times. Potassium and sodium works together in the body, and they work in opposition. Potassium controls the sodium levels to keep down the sodium retention and and help soften up the blood vessels so the blood can flow through a lot smoothly. If you're not eating enough foods with potassium, sodium tends to run out of control. When the sodium levels get high, the blood volume increases. When the blood volume increases, the heart has to pump harder just to get the excessive amount of blood through the body, and this increases your blood pressure. When you start to increase your potassium levels, the potassium acts as a natural diuretic and excrete the excessive amount of sodium, bringing it down, reducing the sodium retention, bringing down the blood volume, and now it takes the pressure off the heart, and now the blood pressure comes down as well. The sodium potassium pathway is one of the most important because that's the majority of the problem for most people dealing with blood pressure issues. So understanding the foods that you're consuming after the fast is going to be important. And the better you understand that, it's going to get a lot more clear for you. Because again, these foods are essential for your overall health. Potassium is not just a blood pressure thing. It's for your whole body. Same thing with magnesium. It's for your whole body. The better you're able to understand the foods that have these, the better you're going to be able to maneuver through these blood pressure challenges and get the results that you desire. So understanding after breaking that fast, the foods that you're consuming is going to be very important. Next up, we're going to go back into alternate day fasting. That was the second fasting strategy that we spoke about. And the same rules apply, it's just the time frame and the length is different. So with the alternate day fasting, this is basically where you're alternating between the days. One day you're fasting for 36 hours, the next day you're eating. And you're alternating the days between. You eat one day, fast the next day. Eat one day, fast the next day. Alternating the days. That way you're allowing your body to go through the fasting process. Now this fast is ideal for the individual that has understanding about fasting. They have a level of health that's going to allow them to go through the longer periods of fasting. So if you're dealing with blood sugar issues as well as blood pressure issues, be very mindful of this type of strategy. Understand your body, because pushing yourself too far will cause you to go into hypoglycemia, which is definitely something that you don't want to go into. Very dangerous, very deadly, because if you're caught in the wrong area going through hypoglycemia, you'll pass out while you're driving, you'll pass out while you're working, you pass out while you're sitting down. This is something that you don't want to do. So understanding your body is going to be important. So alternate day fasting, this is for someone that has a little more control, that understands their body, that are dealing with these blood pressure issues, but they're able to manage and go through this process. Like someone that's simply taking, let's say you're taking a diuretic and that's the only pill you're on, and you're dealing with this blood pressure problem. This is ideal for you because that one pill that you might be on, get out of here, man. It's out of here. Simple as that. Once you get through this process, your body's going to do all that management for you. All you need to do is make sure that you're doing what you need to do to stay in alignment moving forward. So the alternate day fasting from 8 o'clock, shut it down. Nothing else from 8 o'clock. And from 8 o'clock that night all the way to 10 o'clock, sorry. From 8 o'clock that night all the way to 10 o'clock, not the next day, but the following day, 36 hours. That's going to be ideal. I might have the time off. It should be 36 hours, roughly 36 hours. That's going to be the ideal framework for the alternate day fasting. So you're going to stop eating at 8 o'clock the night before. And that whole next 24 hours to 8 o'clock again, you're not consuming anything. And from 8 o'clock again, once that 24 hours is there, from 8 o'clock to the next morning, you're fasting, clearing out, and then you want to break your fast the following day. Hopefully I didn't trip anybody up in there, so I'm going to go ahead and do it again. So 36 hours for the alternate day fasting window. From 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock the next night, that's 24 hours. And then from 8 o'clock again, all the way to the next morning, that's going to give you your 36 hours, and that's going to be your complete alternate day fasting session. That's going to allow for your body to go into autophagy. Autolysis is going to take place. Ketosis is going to be moving, and you're going to be getting things crunk up in that 36 hours. Your body's going to be jumping and doing things and healing and cleansing, and you're going to be deep into this process. And what's going to happen is when it's time to break that fast, This is going to allow for your body to rebuild and replenish itself. And this way you want to go back into those health promoting foods again, giving the body those things that it needs to function at a high level. Those building blocks, those whole foods, those are going to help your body build nice, strong, resilient cells. All those cells that are inside of the blood vessels, those endothelial cells that are all damaged and not producing the nitric oxide to dilate the blood vessels, the body's going to be able to rebuild those cells, restructure those cells, put new cells in place, and they're going to rejuvenate and build that endothelium system to properly protect the cardiovascular system and allow for the blood pressure to regulate properly. But you have to give the body what it needs. Don't shortchange yourself, man. Those different foods out there might look good and they might even taste good, but don't do it. Get yourself in line. As simple as that. Get yourself in line, build yourself back up. If you want a slice of pizza, you better deserve it. But right now, if you're dealing with blood pressure issues, if you don't deserve it, you can't have it. It's as simple as that. You'll be taking 2, 3, 4 steps backwards, and this ain't how you get off the medication. You got to understand your spectrum. If you're on a spectrum and your health is in jeopardy, you want to live on the closest end of the spectrum that's in the health promoting lifestyle. You can't afford those risks, man, because that bad nutritional choice can send you down a spiral. That one slice of pizza will turn into a bag of popcorn the next day, and then you'll end up drinking a soda behind it. Then before you know it, you're doing things that are all backwards, sending you down the commode because you just made a poor decision. So understanding that things like this happen, but do not let them break you. Do not let them deter you from living a health promoting lifestyle. Get back on the wagon and stay consistent with the process, because again, lifestyle changes is a journey, because high blood pressure is a lifestyle disease. You change the lifestyle, the blood pressure issues will go away. But if you go back to living the same crappy way that caused the blood pressure problem, they will come back. It's as simple as that. They come and they go. It comes and goes. Blood pressure is based off of the way that you're living. And the better you understand how to live a health promoting lifestyle within the laws of life by giving your body the prerequisites that it needs, this is going to allow for your body to adjust and stay within the spectrum that you need it in. But if you're breaking all the laws of life and you're not living a health promoting lifestyle and giving your body the water, the sun, the aesthetics, and all the things that it needs, this is where the problem manifests and continues to happen. So we must understand where we fall at on this spectrum. And all of us are different. We all know people that can eat like crap and seemingly just look good and healthy on the outside without any problems. We all know people like that. I know people like that. But then it comes us where as soon as we eat something salty or something out of the ordinary, we got problems. It's simple as that. We got problems. Me, I'm so sensitive to so many different things. At times, it's like, yo, I'm scared to have something. I eat something wrong, it pop up all in my face. I'm like, damn, I've got a piece of bread. Like, why I got to go through all this? So we have to understand our bodies and stay in alignment and make sure that we're making health promoting choices that is in alignment with what our goals are. And ultimately, if you're on this channel watching right now, your goal is to get off of the pharmaceutical medications. So understanding that this is a process, and for some people it could take 14 days. For others, it could take 45 days. Some people, they go through the journey so long because they're yo-yoing back and forth. And the tighter you can be when it comes down to the necessary lifestyle changes, the sooner you will see the results, because your body wants to heal. It wants to thrive, but you have to create the environment within yourself for this to happen. And this is all about the way you choose to live your life. Next up, water only fasting. So we went through intermittent fasting, we did alternate day fasting, water only fasting. Water only fasting, this is for the individual that understands their body as a whole. If you're dealing with blood sugar issues, stay away from water only fasting, because this will put you in a state of hypoglycemia sooner or later, and it could be problematic for yourself. So this is for the individual that may be taking blood pressure medication, that has that stubborn blood pressure, and it just won't budge. It just seems like every time you take your blood pressure, it's jumping. jumping back and forth, and the medicines don't seem to be doing anything for you because it's a bigger imbalance that's happening. So understanding how to water only fast is going to be ideal. Now, when it comes down to water only fasting, this is a really big and grand topic, but we're going to keep it nice and simple to something that you could do comfortably in your own home, which is going to be a 72-hour water fast. That's simple, easy, and it doesn't put too much of a burden on the body in any type of way. And if you schedule and manage it properly, this is a strategy that you can apply into your lifestyle. I went through a 6-month span of water only fasting for once a month, one weekend every month. I did a water only fast for 6 months, and during that time frame, I think I lost 83 pounds. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I started water fasting when I was already down like 30, 40 pounds. So let me rephrase. I don't want to throw too many loops in there. I started in June of that year, and I did another 6 months of water only fasting, and that kind of rounded off the rest of my strategy and things like that. So understanding that if you got that stubborn blood pressure, it's just running at its own beat and you have no control over what's happening, water only fasting is going to allow for you to get further insights on what you need to do to correct these problems. Water only fasting is going to bring you back into alignment a lot faster. It's going to help clean out those cells, rejuvenate those clean out those arteries, rejuvenate those cells, and you'll start to see the picture come together. But remember, we spoke about this right when we started. It's a lifestyle. You have to be willing to do the other things that matter. If your sleep is all jacked up and you got sleep apnea and you got insomnia and you might sleep only 4 to 6 hours because your business is based in China and you got to wake up when those guys wake up, you got to make some adjustments in there. You got to be able to move those pieces around to get to the root cause of your problem and at least identify it. That way you know where you need to improve at. It's a lifestyle, is a team effort. You can't just say, oh, I'm gonna fast to fix my blood pressure. Some people will win, but for the majority of people, it's other components that are playing a role in this as well. So you want to make sure that you're addressing these other areas of your lifestyle. So you bring that team together, you get in the huddle, say, hey man, sleep, I'm aiming for 8 hours out of you. Nutrition, we make sure we eating our fruits and salads and our nuts and seeds every day. Stress, I'm meditating and I'm doing my breath work in the morning when I wake up and before I eat in the afternoon. Exercise, I'm going for a 1 mile, 2 mile walk whenever I can, as consistently as possible. All those players gonna be like, yes, coach. And when you get in the game, you're gonna start to progress. And ultimately, if you be consistent with these strategies, you're gonna win. It's as simple as that. Everything gets better when you improve your lifestyle. When you improve your lifestyle, every disease gets better. No matter if you got cancer, you got high blood pressure, diabetes, whatever, it gets better. When you sleep better, all these things improve. When you manage your stress, it improves. When you get more exercise, it improves. Everything starts to get better as you continue to move forward through this process. So the better you able to put these areas of your lifestyle together, the more you'll be able to do so. And my mother just came in. So mother and my sister just walked in the house. So for those of us that might have been following my mother's journey, I'm not sure if I shared this on YouTube yet, but for those of us following my mother's journey on Facebook and Instagram, they saw where I gave my mother this blood pressure intervention. And during that blood pressure intervention, Mom, you know what your blood pressure was?
In the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning. I remember what it was. Through the roof, right? It was through the roof. It was I want to say at least two, it was in the 2 somethings, the low 2 somethings over 109, somewhere in that fashion. And I immediately put her on a water only fast. And she fasted for 14 days. And we went through all the other prerequisites of life. We was outside sunbathing to get her vitamin D levels up because I knew her vitamin D levels were low because she didn't get outside a whole lot. She was a homebody. She liked to be on the computer. She likes to relax, watch her movies and do all those things, which is cool. But make sure you get outside and do the things that your body needs because, again, these prerequisites of life are important just to live in any manner. So we got outside, was outside getting sunlight every morning and just sunbathing, letting the body stimulate her and penetrate her and keep going. But as we continue to move through this whole process, we started to see how her body accelerated in the right direction. Halfway through the fast, we saw her blood pressure down to 145 over whatever. Don't make me lie to you because I got it written down somewhere, but I don't have it with me. But she continued to get better. But the most important part, that 210 over 1 something drastically came down, because you walking around with 210 over anything, you're walking bomb. As simple as that. You're walking stroke, and it's just waiting to happen. It's waiting for a trigger, and that trigger could be anything. That trigger could be some salty food. That trigger could be a stressful situation. It can be multiple things that could just happen and trigger you, and then boom, aneurysm, boom, stroke, boom, heart attack. It happens just that fast. My aunt was 44 years old, and she was at work and had a heart attack because of her pressure and her other issues that was just going out of control. 44 years old, allowing and not managing your body and your lifestyle, and boom, you just drop dead in the office building because you're just not proactively doing the things that you need. So seeing that happen when I was younger, it was like I didn't want these things to happen to me, because my grandmother passed away from a stroke as well. We were in the hospital, and I'm there with my family, and we collectively decided to pull the plug. And me watching my grandmother go through those issues, pulling out that little pill cabinet and flipping it open, and you see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all these pills in there, relying on those medications and not getting the results and not getting any better, with them still adding more pills to the mix. Something's wrong. And this is where I decided to dive into an understanding of what these issues were, especially when I developed my own problems. I knew I needed to change, and this is what lifestyle changes really were all about: getting to the root cause of these problems and being able to correct them and eliminate or even reduce your reliance on these pharmaceutical medications. So understanding that medications hold their position. I'm not gonna sit and say medications ain't, they all bad, because to be honest, medication is probably the reason a lot of people are still alive, because they haven't changed the lifestyle that they were living. So understanding that they play their role, but that's like, hey, come on, help me, and then get up out of here, because I can't depend on you to get me where I need to go. So understanding that it's a band-aid, and the better you the better you understand that and make the necessary adjustments, you can get through this process. Next up, I think I was in water only fasting. No, I could rumble on sometimes, y'all, man. I apologize, but we was in water only fasting, and I'm gonna go through this whole process again. And we're talking about the 72-hour water only fast. So through the 72-hour water only fasting, building your strategy is going to be important. For myself, I prefer to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's the ideal framework. You want those 3 days to be back to back to back. That's the perfect way to move about it. And you want to make sure that you're in alignment when it comes down to you want to make sure that you're in alignment when it comes down to your strategy and what you have going on. You don't want to be watching kids. You don't want to be having errands to run. You don't want to be doing too much. Chill, relax your body, sit down somewhere, clean up your living room and clean out the closet. Do a digital detox, clean out your computer, your phone, and stuff like that. Do that basic stuff. Get yourself back into mental alignment and stuff like that. But you don't want to be doing anything physical where it's going to cause you to, use that energy that you want to use for healing. Because what happens is when you stop eating, that energy that usually goes to digestion, it goes to other areas of the body to help heal and correct issues. But if you're out trying to work out and trying to run errands and do all these different things, you're gonna be burning off that energy, and ain't no healing, not a lot of healing gonna be going on. And in fact, you're gonna need calories and energy to function at this level. And this is where you start getting headaches and all those other things that have come about because you're doing too much. You're doing a water only fast, go and sit down somewhere, relax, schedule it out. 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, whatever your calendar looks like, schedule it out, sit down. Hey, I ain't babysitting no kids, or hey kids, I'm fasting, daddy gonna pick y'all up. Whatever it is that you have to do, line it out, set yourself up, and prepare for the process. Because preparation is going to allow you to actually be successful as you move through it. So the better you're able to prepare for a water only fast, the more likely you're going to be able to succeed and get through this process. You may experience some type of symptoms during the fast, but understanding those symptoms are going to be very important. One thing about it is you should not feel sick while fasting, while doing any type of fast. Feeling like you're going to pass out and feel like you're going to just lose it, break the fast. Don't even push your body, because clearly there's an underlying issue there and you've reached that limit. Because once you start going across that limit, that's where it starts to get fuzzy and your body is doing too much. It's trying to do more than it's able to do, and it's starting to break down and wear down. So understanding your limits is going to be a big part of it. So if during fasting, you shouldn't feel sick in any type of way. Now, nausea, being nauseous, having a headache, or a little body aches here and there, they're gonna come and go. That's part of your cleansing process. You had a whole party your whole life, eating and doing whatever you want, and that was the fun part. But when it comes down to cleansing and healing, it ain't necessarily that fun. It's not a thing. Like some people that detox and cleanse all the time, I look at them like, man, that ain't fun, man. I don't know how you doing all this fasting and cleansing. It ain't a fun thing to do. It's not appealing at all to go through this process. So understanding that when you go through these types of fast and cleanse, you want to make sure you're keeping your body clean, because if you're someone that got to keep fasting and keep cleansing, you're going to be an irritable person, because that process is not something that you want to go through consistently. So understanding those symptoms and seeing your way through them is going to be a big part of it. Seeing and experiencing the the fast and the symptoms is going to help you maneuver through it, because they come in waves and they will fade off 30 minutes, an hour or so. They come and go, but those are all part of the cleansing process. Everyone's symptoms are going to be different based off of your diet and your lifestyle habits, the quality of your life, the way you're living. It's all varies. Some people don't get symptoms. Some people get a lot of them. My mom was fasting. She didn't have much symptoms. I fast. I tend to get headaches sometimes. Like, it comes and goes. It all varies based off of your lifestyle. But that water only fasting, 72 hours is the goal. It's a nice sweet spot that don't put you at risk for, potential issues. Because one thing about fasting is this: it uncovers any underlying problem that you have. And that's one of the most beautiful things about it, because you could be fasting and think that you're just doing this for a blood pressure problem, but as you're going through the fasting process, you might discover that you have some underlying issues that your body's trying to correct as well. So, understanding that anything over 72 hours, you want to make sure that you're in a position to be supervised with someone that's going to be able to help you through these different type of processes. And that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have another day. But it's important that 72 hours is a nice sweet spot for the majority of people. Doing the same thing, the same rules apply when it comes down to autophagy, autolysis, ketosis, and all those other things that are happening. The longer you're in the fast, the more of that healing that's actually taking place and happening. So if you're in ketosis or autophagy, even in any one of those for an extended period of time, a lot of cleansing is going. When you're in ketosis, your body's switching from glucose to using fat as fuel, and now your body is constantly burning fat just to survive and nourish itself. Because again, when you're fasting, the nutrition process doesn't stop. Just because you stop eating food, the physical building blocks, that don't mean nutrition stopped. Nutrition is still going. Your body's like, oh, okay, we're not getting no food right now. That's cool. Hey, bring in the backup. And it go right to them fat cells that's behind your back, and that fat that's all up under your arm, and the fat on that midsection, and it go to hacking and chopping away. Chop, 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 breaking it down. And that's why you're losing weight while you're fasting, because now your body's breaking down that fat in that midsection, that visceral fat, the most dangerous fat on your body, that fat that's covering the organs and that's filled with all these different toxins. The body's breaking that down, because along with those toxins that are stored inside of that is nutrients and minerals and all those things as well. And your body is like, okay, get the reserves, break it down, bring it out the back, break down that fat, take out those nutrients, those toxins that are there, you'll be like, y'all come on out of here. Get in that bloodstream. We're going to get rid of y'all, but we're going to keep those guys over here. That vitamin, the potassium, we're going to keep those guys, send them to where they need to be to nourish the rest of the cells. But all those other toxins get released into the bloodstream and they make their way out of the body. So understanding that nutrition continues while you're fasting, and this is why you see the healing and everything translates into a healthier version of you, because that toxic buildup that's all throughout tends to get released. That's why you see the reduction in inflammation. You see the blood pressure gets better, the weight gets better, all those things get better, the cholesterol gets better. All those things change and get better during the fast, but actively applying it with the right strategies is all you really need to understand. So I see a couple questions here that pretty much rounds off the 3-day water fast that was there. The same rules apply when it comes down to a health promoting diet afterwards, breaking the fast, and that's going to allow you to continue to get the results that you need. So I see a couple questions here. I'm going to go ahead and answer those. If you guys, of course, like the video, share the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way, you know, you can get the alerts when I do go live talking about all these different things. And you can continue to move forward on your blood pressure journey. So I'm going to go ahead and read off some of these questions. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll keep going. Simone, you're right on the you can't lead a horse to the water, but you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't force it to drink. If you want to change, be the change that starts within. Couldn't say it no better. And I gotta make sure I get these it's, you know what, it's the table. For some reason, it just the words and the table just blend together. I can't see it clearly. Fly, eagles, fly. That's right. I don't deserve those types of foods right now, Miss Marianne. Yeah, if you don't deserve those types of foods, stay away from it. I think the most beautiful part about this is this. When you get yourself back in shape, like when you're dealing with health issues, of course, you want to stay away from those unhealthy foods. But when you get yourself back in shape and you're feeling better and you get off medication and your body has more energy, you're going to look at that food and be like, shit, I'm not touching that because I know what my body's been through. It's like I'm nowhere in the world going back to what I came from. I don't work so hard to get off these medications. You think I'm going to go ahead and have a burger or something that's going to lead me down the wrong way? Most people just tend to stick with the changes because they went so long feeling bad that they forgot how feeling good actually feels. And then when they start back feeling good, it's nowhere in the world you're going back to feeling bad. Just simple as that. And it's just the beauty of lifestyle changes. You start feeling so good, you be like telling everybody about what you're doing and how you're feeling. And then somebody be like, oh, you want a burger? And they're like, no, girl, no, man. I don't want that. For what? Like, I'm doing good. I've been 6 months clean. Well, I'm trying to go for that though. I understand, like, nah, I don't want it. Keep it. Like, I'm doing good. I ain't had it in that long. I ain't trying to go back to it. But a lot of people, they just don't go back to those habits because they've broken that chain. They free from that bondage. Like, why am I even looking back at that or trying to incorporate that back into my lifestyle when I've come from that? I've done so much better. I can continue to do better. So again, when you don't deserve those foods, don't give it to you, because when you're in a vulnerable position, meaning you got blood pressure and you're taking medication, a little bit hurts. And we think, most doctors say moderation is key. Keep things in moderation. It's some truth in that. But when you got a problem, it's a problem. So if you're dealing with blood pressure problems and you're trying to be moderate with something, you ain't gonna never fix it, because that little bit of sugar here and that little bit of salt here and that excessive amount of fats and all those things that are all tied up inside of that, that's going to continue to contribute into the problem. And the number one rule in healing is you must remove the source of the problem. And if the source of the problem is a dietary habit and you add a little bit here and a little bit there, you're not getting rid of that. You're not getting rid of the problem until you do away with those poor habits that are fueling the issue. You have to start at the source. And removing those problematic foods, just like we did in the Pressure Purge Challenge, is how you get through this whole process. So I'm gonna keep moving through, because again, I could talk my own head off sometimes. And I do have another call I got to take in a few, so I can't be here all day with y'all. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm keep giving y'all some. I'm keep answering questions. Marty says you're doing intermittent fasting, man. Hats off, man. Just stay consistent through this whole process. Miss Deborah Scott says I'm doing water only fasting. Right on, man. Like, trust me, you're gonna see the results. It's gonna get you there. And yes, baby, come on.
Can you help me twist it because I need some water?
You gonna get some water? Yeah, got you. Got the little one here. So it's bedtime, but she getting some water and doing the thing. Right? I ain't gonna bother like I did last time. Next one, who we got? Let me see what I see. Intermittent fasting, 16 to 18 hours fasting, then 8 to 6 hours where I'm eating. I drink water only. If I exercise, after 18 hours, I start to get a little headache, and that's when I break the fast. Man, that's right on. You following those strategies, and you putting yourself right in alignment. That way you can understand your body. You can see when you're getting triggered and you're reaching your limits. Now you just make the adjustment. Oh, boom, 18 hours. All right, I'm feeling good up until that point. I know I could do 16, 17, 18 hours easy. And when you build on that, before you know it, you could do 20 to 24 hours easy. That 20 to 24 hours turn to 48, 48 turn to 72. Boom, once you're rolling in that session, it's a walk in the park when it comes down to your overall health. Now, what I want to do, I want to leave you guys with three things. Three tools, not a requirement, but something that I think will be very beneficial to you guys. These three items are things that help me along my journey to better understand fasting, how to apply it to my lifestyle. Now, if you're someone that want to get deeper into fasting, start learning about how to reverse aging and heal your body on a deeper cellular level, these tools are going to help you there. Right now, I've talked about fasting with blood pressure. These same tactics and strategies apply when it comes down to the healing, rejuvenation effect. Because when you're fasting, this not only helps heal your body and correct these metabolic issues, but it also activates the longevity genes within each and every one of us. Your body goes into basically, I want to give or take for better word, like survival mode, and it starts preserving everything within itself. And one place you can start to learn more about that is the book called Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to by Dr. Sinclair, Dr. David Sinclair. Lifespan. This is a great tool to have. It goes down the cellular aspects of fasting, and it also goes through some strategies that you can apply to your lifestyle when it comes down to overall rejuvenation. These same things we talked about, it goes into further details about it. This is a pretty good book. Not the best read, but it's a good book. And when I say not the best read, this is coming from somebody that's not a big time reader. Let me rephrase that because I got a couple hundred books. This is coming from somebody that likes to read simple stuff that I can digest easily. This is not the easiest to digest, but it has a ton of information. It took me quite some time to read it because it was a bit of put me to sleep. But it's full of good information. It's really scientific. I'm not the big scientific guy. If you notice, I don't use words too bigger than 8 letters talking to most people because I don't want nobody to use words bigger than 8 letters talking to me because I don't want to figure out what you're talking about. This book kind of does that. But if you have the time to go through it or you got the education that to push you through it, this is a good read, a good tool to have, and it goes into some deep stuff about longevity. Lifespan by Dr. David Sinclair. Order it off YouTube. I got no connection with him, but he do have a podcast. He do have a couple other cool things he has going on where he talks about a lot of fasting and other great things like that. It's a good book to have. Next up, The Pleasure Trap by the guy himself, Dr. Alan Goldhammer, and what's his partner name? Dr. Douglas Lau, too. Both of those guys over at the True North Health Center in California. I've been following this guy for, God knows, 6-7 years, and man, he's a great guy to follow on the internet, on the YouTube. He's a doctor. He's actually started out as a chiropractor, and he has this nice health facility over in Northern California where they do a lot of studies about water-only fasting when it comes down to blood pressure problems. I talked about one of the great studies that he did a few years ago where he took 600 plus people with high blood pressure taking multiple medications, put them on a 10-day water fast, and about 90-something, 93, 97% of them came off of their blood pressure medication and corrected their high blood pressure. His name is Dr. Alan Goldhammer. He wrote the book, him and Douglas Lau. Dr. Douglas Lau wrote the book, The Pleasure Trap. And it's a great book that breaks down the underlying factors when it comes down to your nutrition that leaves you in a cycle of always wanting the bad foods, the salty, the oily, the sweet foods and those things. It talks about that stimulation that's occurring. And it also goes into fasting and understanding the body and how you can connect the dots between what you're doing, how you're feeling, and to get over those problems. So The Pleasure Trap is a great book. It's a pretty sweet read. I got through this in like a day. Like, it was that good. So understanding that this is a great tool to understand more about fasting and those nutritional struggles that's just, it tastes so good, to keep pulling me back. You'll understand why it's pulling you back, but also it has a lot of tactics and strategies that will allow you to break those chains and remove yourselves from those pitfalls. Last, The Miracle of Fasting by Paul Bragg. This is a pretty sweet book as well. We're all familiar with Bragg's from Bragg's apple cider, Bragg's liquid aminos and all those great things that he have, but he's also an author. His daughter, Patricia Bragg, she used to own the company, but she sold it to Katy Perry and a whole bunch of other people. And that's a real interesting thing, because around that time, a lot of the Bragg's products started to change and wasn't the same anymore. And I ain't gonna say that's the reason, but I'm just saying it did change. But Paul Bragg wrote a lot of great books when it came down to understanding the scientific aspect of fasting. The best part about it, you can tell he was a simple guy because it's a simple book. I read this in like a day or so, and it really has some great information about fasting that you can simply apply to your lifestyle and give you a better understanding of what's going on a cellular level. These are all great books for the individual that want to learn more about this process, that really just want to apply this tactics and strategies that really want to apply the tactics and strategies to their lifestyle to get some healing effects. These are all tools that go deeper into the scientific aspect for you. I've laid everything out for you guys here on a surface level. That way you don't get overwhelmed by all that information, because of course it'll probably take me days and days and days to break that down. But you got the meat of it, you got the heart of it. You know what I'm saying? You got the strategies and the tactics and the basic understanding of it that's going to get you over those humps as long as you're applying yourself. So you got those things, and now don't be that person that just knows something and not actively using it. We all got those people around us somewhere, someplace that knows everything. I remember I used to go to the corner store, walk into the corner store. Guys used to be around there. They could tell you everything about everybody. They know how to do this. They know how to do that. And you look at them like, well, why are you here with me? Well, because they ain't never applied none of the stuff they knew. It's as simple as that. They knew everything in the world, but they never did nothing with it. Don't be that person. Don't be the person to know all this stuff about fasting and don't do nothing about it. Yeah, I know fasting is good. It's good for your health. You can do this, help you lose weight, get your body right, correct that blood pressure, but you ain't never used it to help yourself. You got the information. You went through the challenge. You went through the process. Apply it. Simple as that. You don't have to be the greatest, but you got to start to even get somewhere, you know? You got to start. Apply yourself. Understand your limits and keep moving forward. Don't be that guy that goes and signs up for every challenge and don't apply themselves. Apply yourself. Get through the process. Document your journey. See where you can go with fasting and these other lifestyle changes. And I can guarantee you, if you be consistent, you will get to the root cause of your problem. So with that being said, I think I don't have any other questions. Yeah, with that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you. Oh, I do have one last thing. This is the last thing. I actually came to a conclusion with this about 2 nights ago. Now, earlier in this challenge, I think, matter of fact, last week, I said that I wasn't doing any more challenges and this was going to be the last challenge. Well, I lied. Reason being, I got a lot of knocks on my doors where people say, hey, man, I was waiting for the stress challenge. You know, you said you was going to do that in a few. What happened? You can't just stop right now. And I was like, you're right. I said I was going to do it, but I kind of pulled back because I was feeling a little exhausted. But I made some adjustments to my schedule and my strategies on how I was conducting my own life. So now, with that being said, next week, I'm going to open the doors for our next challenge. We're going to be talking about stress and all those factors that are contributing to it. And one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to talk about stress is because right now is one of the most stressful times in my own life. And it's no better time to go over something when I'm dealing with it myself. Because why? I'm in the mix. I'm dealing with stress issues. I got a lot of problems going on in this arena, and I'm actively battling this situation. When it comes down to my high blood pressure, my triggers have always been my stress habits and my poor dietary choices. I lost 80 something pounds, got my diet in check, and my stress problems was still there. And my blood pressure was still high because I didn't get the stress in check. When I got the stress in check, blood pressure got back together and my numbers were better than ever. And one thing about lifestyle, your life always changes. So the better you understand when your life changes and how to make the adjustments in that field, the better you will be able to continue to gain control over your health, your blood pressure, and every other issue that you could be possibly dealing with. So with that being said, I'm going to be opening the doors for the stress challenge on Monday. That way we can better dive into stress as a unit, because there's no better way for me to help myself than going through this process with other individuals, because now we can challenge ourselves as a group, continue to move forward. Initially, I wanted to retreat and just settle myself down and then keep moving forward. But no, keep going while you're hot. That's the main thing. Like if, let's say, LeBron in a basketball game and they keep passing the ball and he keep making shots, you keep giving him the ball and he keeps shooting and he keep making and he keeps scoring. Right now, we've been going through all these different challenges and many people have been getting great results through this process. And for me being the coach here, I can't stop passing y'all the ball. So I'm going to keep the ball going. I'm going to keep passing it. We went through all these challenges. I'm passing y'all the ball. Y'all been getting that ball and y'all been scoring, getting off the medication, losing the weight, getting that blood pressure down, making these lifestyle changes, getting those results. I'm not going to stop it right now. We're going to keep moving forward. And right now, this is going to allow me to re-tap into my stress levels and make sure that I'm doing the things consistently to stay in alignment. So look out for the information moving forward about our stress challenge. It's going to be in the same type of format. You're going to get the ebooks. We're going to have our class. We're going to break it down. We're going to be here actively putting the strategies together, and we're going to get to the root cause of these problems. So with that being said, look for that. I'll be back with you guys in the group later on, and we'll continue correcting our blood pressure issues. For everyone here, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video as well. And I thank you guys for all showing up and doing what you need to do for yourselves. Peace and blessings.